On behalf of the Gulf Times, I welcome you again to one of the episodes of Diplomatic Dialogues, a space where we celebrate how cultural diversity builds not only stronger people, but stronger nations. Today, I have the honor to introduce His Excellency Gautam Bhattacharyya. He is the ambassador of Sweden here in Qatar. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being with us.
Thank you, Maria. It's an honor to be here with you.
It has been almost 3 years, right? You were here during the World Cup. How was that experience? How has been your experience in Qatar, and how is it to live in Qatar?
Thank you for the question. I mean, it's been fantastic. I mean, the World Cup was a long time ago. It feels 3 years have just flown past. But the memory of that fantastic, amazing experience still reverberates, I would say, in me and among all the people that we meet. You know, it was a fantastic experience. It was a great way to start my time here in Qatar. And to be here in Qatar, I have to say, Maria, that it's been both a learning experience, but also highly stimulating. It's a place where you feel every day you come to work, there's something new, never a dull moment. Yeah. And both the interesting areas that we cover here, the role of Qatar in the world, and also the dynamic nature of the country makes it a supremely interesting place to be.
Your Excellency, as a European ambassador living in Qatar, what would you say it is your favorite thing about living here?
Well, not only as European, I mean, if you talk to anybody living in Qatar, what strikes you is the way the country is such a safe, family-oriented, comfortable, top-class infrastructure place, you know, and I think that's something that anybody who has set his or her foot in Qatar will tell you. So I would say that the ease of living, the way society and infrastructure has been created to facilitate really for people to live here, it's striking. And I think we are fortunate. We really have to look hard to find another place in the world which is so well managed.
Now, speaking about the diplomatic sector, let's say, there is a recent visit of His Highness to Sweden, actually. It hasn't been even 1 year. Could you let us know more about this visit and the outcomes that it had so far?
I had the honor of being there in Stockholm in September when His Highness Sheikh Tamim visited Sweden, and he was on a tour to Sweden, Norway and Finland, his first official trip to the Nordic countries. It was a momentous visit. You know, His Majesty, the King of Sweden and the Queen of Sweden, they welcomed His Highness, the Prime Minister, the Swedish industry, academia. It was really a fantastic rollout. And I would like to say that this visit of His Highness Sheikh Tamim really triggered a lot of new engagements between our countries. We've had diplomatic relations with Qatar for over 50 years. And the embassy here has existed in Doha about 11 years now. But I would like to say that in the last 9 months since His Highness visit, we have seen a level of activity and an exchange of visits at high level which we have never seen before. So I can really say that this visit by His Highness triggered a new era in Sweden-Qatar relations. Just to give you an example, since September and His Highness visit, we have had the defense minister here in Qatar, the Swedish defense minister. We have had the deputy speaker of the Swedish parliament. We have had our foreign secretary here. We've had the Queen of Sweden here for a 3-day visit on behalf of her foundation, hosted by Her Highness Sheikh Amoza. We have had a number of Swedish agencies collaborating with the Qatari counterparts in mediation, in development cooperation, in work environment. So it's like an avalanche of activities, and it's so heartening as an ambassador to see the bilateral relation between two countries developing in front of your eyes, thanks to this visit.
And such a very good relationship, right? It is. You can see that it's stronger than ever, and it forwards to see that it's getting better every day.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's part of a larger pattern, I would say. The Gulf is becoming a power center, as we know. Not only Qatar, Saudi, the Emirates, Kuwait, other countries are attracting more and more investments, more and more foreign companies coming to this region, which is a powerhouse. Qatar is part of that. We see also that the Scandinavian countries and the Nordic countries, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway, they are powerhouses in Europe for clean technology, innovation, investments. We have one of the most powerful ecosystem for startups and financing of startups in the world and scale-ups. You might have heard of companies like Spotify, gaming companies, a lot of digital companies that have grown up, and other companies, technology companies that have grown up in Sweden and the Nordics. So there's a perfect match between these two economies.
Your Excellency, how many Swedish nationals live here in Qatar, and do you see this number maybe increasing in the future?
Well, we have a list. According to the official statistics, there are about 1,000 Swedes here. Of course, many of them have a background in the region, which is also very interesting, that we see a lot of Syrian, Lebanese, Egyptian, Jordanian Swedes moving here to work in Qatar in an environment where they are culturally familiar. This is an interesting example. But our community is quite dynamic again. There are everything from pilots at Qatar Airways to doctors at Hamad, people in hospitality, researchers. It's a very highly qualified community, and I really see that it's growing. And what's really interesting is that we see in the last few years more entrepreneurs coming, setting up companies here, looking for investment partners and technology partners here in Qatar. So I think the community will grow, and it'll also become more diverse, and it's a sign of the times.
We hope to see more Swedish nationals here with us. There is newly established Qatar-Sweden Business Council. Could you let us know more about their job and how is it going here?
Absolutely. So the Sweden-Qatar Business Council is actually quite an opportune question, because it's just in the process of being formed. It was announced during His Highness Sheikh Tamim's visit to Stockholm last year. And now Business Sweden, which is our trade wing, and the Qatar Chambers are in the process of forming the council with participation from business from both sides. And I think this will be an excellent vehicle for further and deepening and broadening the links between Sweden and Qatar in the business field. When business talks to business, it's always the best. And I have great hopes that this Sweden-Qatar Business Council will be a good vehicle for that. We hope that it'll be inaugurated in September, when our trade minister will be here for a visit. So we're looking forward to that.
Amazing. Your Excellency, now speaking about cultural diplomacy, for Qatar and their work as in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, culture has a very big weight, and they have a very big base in cultural diplomacy. What is your opinion on cultural diplomacy and the development of Swedish cultural diplomacy?
I feel, especially being in Qatar, a country which values tradition and culture and history while being modern, I would like to say that Sweden is very similar. A small country with a long history, and where we put a lot of focus on culture. Now, I don't know if many of the Qatari viewers will agree that IKEA is culture, but the IKEA store is also Swedish, an example of Swedish culture. It is design, innovation, and more than anything, it's people-friendly. And I think that Swedish culture perhaps is not known internationally as much for high level in opera or arts and so on, although we have it. But it's really an accessible culture. If you just look at music, for example, I mentioned Spotify earlier. I think most Qataris will have a Spotify account and listen to music.
True.
And so do I. And what people don't know is that Sweden has, perhaps per capita, the largest number of songwriters in the world. We have 4 times as many millionaire songwriters in Sweden compared to Britain.
Wow.
So Sweden is a powerhouse of creativity. We are a creative nation. And I think that also reflects in culture. So you will see more and more expressions of this kind of footprint of Sweden in the digital space primarily. But if you go to traditional arts, as an example also of more classical culture, we have in Sweden, or we had in Sweden, a collection called the Bibi collection. It's a collection of about 200 paintings from the Ottoman era of Turkey. When 2 Swedish diplomats in the 1700s went to Istanbul, and they lived there for a number of years, and they bought a number of these artworks, which were then taken to Sweden. In about 10 years ago, this collection was sold in the open market, and Qatar Museums bought this collection. It's a fantastic, and I recommend everyone, if there's an opportunity to see it, when the Lusail Museum opens eventually. We hope that it'll be displayed there. But I think this collection in itself is a really interesting option for trilateral Turkey, Sweden, Qatar cultural collaboration, and I think that this could be something to explore.
Your Excellency, you mentioned in your answer right now digitalization and digital art, digital culture. Also, Qatar bases a lot of their public work in digitalization, and you had a very interesting participation as Sweden itself in Web Summit, not only 2024, but also right now 2025. Could you let us know about your experience, not only in the Web Summit, but as digital diplomacy here in the embassy?
I mean, Sweden and Qatar, again, there are huge similarities between the countries, fairly small. You know, we are one of the most digital advanced countries in the world. Ericsson, of course, everybody knows Ericsson in the telecom sector led this telecom revolution. 5G is now all over the world, and Qatar is one of the most 5G penetrated countries in the world. Sweden has taken huge steps on the digital space. I see here that we have many Swedish companies and also Swedish institutions that are working closely with Qatar in the field of digitalizing society. I mean, Qatar is also extremely advanced with all the apps and the government hukumi initiatives that have been taken, Metraj, etc. So there's a perfect fit again there. We see a lot of, especially in the commercial field, I would say, we see a lot of interaction between the Qatari and the Swedish space in digitalization. And as you mentioned, Web Summit, we've had 2 Swedish delegations for the first Web Summit and the second one. First was more life science oriented, and the second one was more AI oriented. So we had a number of Swedish healthcare and AI applications that were presented here. And I was happy to see also that one of the Swedish startups got an MOU with the Qatari partner. So concrete results immediately. We keep working in this field.
Your Excellency, one of the pillars of having this program in Gulf Times Diplomatic Dialogues, it was a way to connect the ambassador himself with our public and for the people that are eager to visit Sweden. And if they were able to come and tell you, Your Excellency, which would be your recommendations of when we visit Sweden as a touristic speaking?
Well, we're fortunate to have direct flights by Qatar Airways to Stockholm every day, and also to Copenhagen in Denmark, which is close to South Sweden. So there's no problem of accessibility. And in fact, the more I talk to Qataris, the more I hear that people actually are exploring the Nordics and Scandinavia and Sweden. And if to answer your question, I think that all of Sweden is beautiful. I have to say that, although of course my own hometown I love the most. But we are a country which is very diverse. I think the Qataris will enjoy exploring it. You can roam around freely. People speak English. No cultural barriers in that sense. It's very easy to move around, although it's a big country. You can fly, you can take the train, you can drive yourself. The country is rather vast, as big as Spain or a little bigger than Spain. And half of it is wilderness, forests, mountains, lakes, 200,000 islands, more islands in Sweden than Indonesia.
Wow.
We're one of the countries with the most islands and lakes in the world.
Wow.
I think Finland has more lakes and we have more islands. And next to us is Norway with the fjords. So I would say to the Qataris, come to Sweden, come to the Nordics, experience the midnight sun with endless sun in the midsummer, or go in the middle of the winter with -35, put on good clothes, go to the north and see the northern lights in the sky and experience the ice hotel in Kiruna. There's so much to see in Sweden, and you can move freely. Anybody can walk freely in Swedish nature. It's a unique feature of Sweden that we have a law which says that anybody can walk anywhere in the forests and the fields and the mountains. Nobody can stop you. So just put on a good pair of hiking boots and just walk.
That's amazing. Now, on the other way around, we are also huge fans of the work that Visit Qatar is doing here, and Qatar Tourism, of course. So, for example, if someone asked you for recommendations to visit Qatar, which would be your favorite spot?
Well, that's easy to answer because I have visitors coming all the time, so I keep recommending places here. And the fabulous work that Qatar is doing in tourism, the World Cup itself, and then afterwards, we have seen how tourism is increasing. So it's a very easy country to visit. And I see it myself in front of my eyes, really, these 3 years. A number of Swedish people who never had come here before have come here now. Qatar is becoming a brand and becoming a known place. People pass through, they stop by for a few days, or they even have their holidays here for a week or 2 weeks. People come to work here in the winter, etc. So when people come here, I always recommend, of course, the museums. Of course, I recommend, Khor Al Ubaid, to go to the desert, to go, dune bashing, to go kayaking. I enjoy kayaking in Thakira. There's so much to see here. Personally, I actually enjoy Al Shumal the best, the Ruwais and Zubara. I always go there in the weekends to drive, to enjoy the scenery in the north. But there's so much to see in Qatar. Personal favorite is actually to explore the souk and to see all the cultural activities that are going on.
Now we are passing to a more personal side of the interview. We celebrate at Diplomatic Dialogues and Gulf Times that every ambassador has a different story. And for what we learned about you before doing the questions was that you have been posted in several countries and also you have a very vast experience. Could you let us know, how did you become an ambassador? How was your story? And how has been your process till arriving here to Qatar?
Well, the story is, again, maybe chance, maybe fate. It's very hard to know why and how one ends up and 25 years have just passed. But basically, I'm a business and economics student from the Stockholm School of Economics, so it was not absolutely sure that I would go into diplomatic service. But I had an interest from an early age in international affairs. My father was an international executive. So I always had this interest to be in an international setting, and my family is from India. So I from my childhood, I've been traveling, frequently across the world. So basically, I joined the Swedish diplomatic service 25 years ago. I was posted then in Chile, in South America. I was posted in India twice for 10 years, and it's been a fantastic journey. I would say diplomacy is really perhaps the profession in the world where you can satisfy your curiosity the most. It's a never-ending stream of interesting tasks, challenges, and also opportunities, but it's really something for the curious person to engage with. So I've been very fortunate to engage, and Qatar is of course my first posting in the Middle East, in the Gulf, and it's been hugely rewarding and very, very educative in being here.
And Your Excellency, if you allow me, I just want to say everybody that's watching us that you are fluent in Spanish. Today I just met you, I got the huge surprise that you were speaking completely as a Latino.
Un poquito me queda todavía.
No, it's amazing and it is incredible. Now, speaking of your career and your path, which would you say it was one of the most difficult times, so let's say hard decisions or hard moments that you had to take?
As a diplomat, you deal with politics, you deal with international relations. I would say that's not the difficult part of it. The difficult part and the challenges in this job is really because you're responsible for your citizens. You're actually the representative of your country in a foreign country, and you're responsible for the well-being of your citizens. Yeah. This is the biggest challenge that we have, and I can give you an example. During the pandemic, I was in Delhi, posted in Delhi as a deputy ambassador, and we had over 3,500 Swedes in a vast country, a continent. The country was locked down. We were actually shut in the embassy. The whole country was locked down twice, 2-3 months every time. It was hugely challenging for us to look after our citizens. People fell ill, people needed to be evacuated or to be repatriated to Sweden, and no airlines were running, etc. It was challenging, frustrating, sometimes very, very sad. Also, people had very sad stories, but we managed in the end to get people out. It took a lot of work, but I would say that this has probably been the biggest challenge I ever had in that very, very difficult logistical situation to help my people to come out of the country.
You just mentioned it. When you are an ambassador, when you're a diplomat, you not only represent your office, you represent the whole country. But something that people don't really get to think about is that this job goes not only to yourself as a person, but also to the family itself. I have the pleasure to know your wife, Devika, and I think she's doing also an amazing job on representing the country as well, your culture, and actually uniting women here in Qatar. Could you let us know more about her experience here, and how has it been so far representing the country?
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for that, because I think the wife and the spouse of an ambassador is perhaps the most important person you could even consider. They are our support. We support everyone else, but who supports the ambassador? It's the spouse. And my wife, who is a very celebrated author in her country, has moved here with me to also it's a sacrifice for the spouses to come here and to be a spouse of a diplomat is not easy.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that and respect that, my wife and all diplomatic spouses. My wife, she's also the president of the Spouses Association of the Diplomatic Heads of Mission, and I think it's been very rewarding for her to meet this multitude of spouses, of 120 different embassies here. I think it's been very enriching for her to be here in Qatar, and she really enjoys that cosmopolitan, dynamic atmosphere, and she's very active. There are book clubs and so on. So I think that my wife, for my wife, it's been a very rewarding experience here, and for me, without my wife, I think I could not have done such a good job as an ambassador that I think I have done. I'm really dependent on her to be successful in my work.
It's true, and so she is the president, right? So
Yes.
that means she's putting Sweden in the top list.
It's more than I do. More than I do. I think my wife is doing it. Yes.
So before we go to our last two questions, I was wondering if we can do a rapid fire question.
Absolutely.
So I will ask some questions,
Sure.
and you will tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Getting nervous.
The favorite place to spend an afternoon in Qatar?
Qatar National Library with my wife, reading books.
Favorite place to spend an afternoon in Sweden?
Our summer house, looking at the lake.
Amazing. Do you have a favorite Qatari dish?
I shouldn't say this, but it's lokaimat, the sweet. They're dangerous, but I love them.
Favorite Swedish dish?
So Swedish food is more about nature. I like the berries, the cloudberries, the herring, the crayfish, all that.
Our Gulf Times newspaper, do you prefer the digital version or do you actually like the printed version?
I'm old school. I get it every morning. I read Gulf Times every morning.
And now is the hardest question, karak or gahwa?
Very difficult for some, but for me it's easy. Karak.
Karak.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We are coming to our final two questions. If you could give us an advice for all the young people that are looking us right now and that they see you, they admire you, and they want to become maybe one day a diplomat, could you give them an advice, please?
Sure. First of all, if you're a young person and you're aspiring to diplomacy, I can say, as I said earlier, it's perhaps the most rewarding, most interesting job you can have. But also be prepared that it's a job that is challenging, that it will take a lot of your time, and it's a job that sometimes keeps you on your toes 24 hours. So be aware of the challenges. Be aware of the challenges for your family. If you plan to have a wife or a husband that will follow you across the world, they have their own career. Think through that you want to do this. But once you embark on this journey of becoming a diplomat, which I have to say after 25 years is the most rewarding thing I have done, I do not regret it. Be open. Be open. You come from a country, you come from a culture, you have your language, you have your faith, but be open. I can share with you that going to Chile as my first posting was not at all in my mind. I wanted to go to Asia because I had my roots there. They sent me to Latin America, and actually, bless them, the human resource department, that they sent me to Latin America. I learned Spanish. I got to know a new culture, a new continent. Be open and try to challenge your own beliefs. Be open and listen, be open and learn, and be ready to keep learning about the world and about yourself. And you'll become a very successful diplomat if you keep your ears and eyes open.
And last question, Your Excellency, do you have a message for the Swedish nationals living here in Qatar?
A bit similar, actually. If you live here as a Swedish youth studying in school here in Qatar, or you're working in a company, you are an ambassador of your country. So I expect all the Swedes also to be good ambassadors of Sweden. But more than anything, especially to the youth here, if I were a Swedish teenager studying in Qatari school, I would consider myself so fortunate to be in a country which is the crossroads of the world, which is cosmopolitan, with nationalities from all over the world, where you can learn so much. So again, step out of your comfort zone, make new friends, make Qatari friends, learn about the culture, learn about the religion, learn about the language, experience the culture here. Don't live in your own bubble, step out and really appreciate and profit from the fact that you are in one of the best places in the world.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for speaking to Gulf Times. It was a pleasure to learn from you, and we hope to keep on learning from you.
Thank you so much.
So see you soon, and thank you so much for joining us again in Diplomatic Dialogue.